Hi there, I'm Dr. Heather Bateman, and I want to tell you a little bit about applied ornithology. So ornithology is the study of birds, and this is one of my favorite classes to teach at the ASU Polytechnic campus. It fits within our degree program, Applied Biological Sciences, and also the certificate on wildlife management. So in this class, of course, we learn about birds. We also learn how to identify birds. And birds are pretty much everywhere. Birds are on the Polytechnic campus, for example. So the species you see here are birds that do pretty well in our urban spaces. We have Anna's hummingbirds that nest in yards and around campus. Greater roadrunners, sometimes I see around campus at the student union. And then Gila woodpeckers are woodpecker species, but sometimes they like to take advantage of resources that we provide in urban places. So they're pretty observable. We're going to record our observations using a community science platform called Ebird. So we're going to record our species, where we see them, how many we see. And this is a pretty great platform because it can also be used to look for where's a good place to go birding, or where's a good place to observe a particular species. It is a global data set, and it collects information, and we're going to contribute to the collection of data about birds. To identify birds, it's important to learn bird songs. And so in class, we're going to learn several species of their songs and calls. I'll play one of my favorite ones right now. This is the sandhill crane. So we have sandhill cranes in Arizona in the winter. They migrate to southern Arizona. And so we'll talk about places to go see sandhill cranes. And we'll talk about why is their call so loud. They're a big bird, so we'll talk about the physiology of calls, and we'll talk about how each species has its own very specific call. So if you can learn to identify a bird by hearing it, you know exactly what species it is. So the study of ornithology has contributed to so many sectors of science, and I just want to highlight a few of those. So ornithologists pioneered the study of what is a species. So based on detailed studies of bird morphology, from observing birds in the field or through museum studies, this has led to our understanding about how one species might become two through, say, geographic separation. And today, modern techniques use molecular information to help identify and separate species. For example, we'll talk about how flamingos were one of the first species where researchers were looking at their DNA to understand where to place them in phylogenetic trees. Birds are interesting because they have contributed to population and community ecology. We know that no two species can overlap and use the exact same resources because what we have learned from studying birds. And we understand that islands harbor unique species, and we understand that from studying birds. And some other ways that birds are really interesting is understanding and learning about their behavior and their mating systems. So of all vertebrate species, birds are the most monogamous of all species. So we'll talk about monogamy as a mating system, and we'll talk about other mating systems. We'll talk about altruism and birds sharing duties and cooperating to raise young, like the acorn woodpeckers that you see here. We'll also talk about how birds might work together to deter a predator. And we will also talk about conservation, and birds have played a huge role in the field of conservation biology. Early on, Rachel Carlson studied birds, and she documented the decline of birds that was from overuse of chemicals in our environment in the 1950s. She testified in front of Congress and talked about these declines. And because of her work and understanding how the toxins were affecting birds, this helped to establish things like the Environmental Protection Agency. Today, we know that birds are in decline. Over 30% of birds that were around in the 1970s, those species have seen dramatic declines. And so by understanding the effects of the environment and how climate change is affecting these species and toxins, we can understand how can we manage these areas and play a role in protecting nature. And birds are just fascinating. They have drawn the attention of humans for as long as humans have probably been around, thinking about flight, thinking about inspiration for songs and poetry. And if you look around, I think that most people observe birds and notice them. Maybe after you take this class, you might even be a little obsessed with them. Some people will travel all over the world to see different species of birds. And young people are interested in birds. The Scouts have a merit badge to promote learning birds at a young age. And we've had students that come through the class and come through our degree program, and now they're in jobs where they're studying birds. And so I just want to highlight Lauren, and in her little hands there, she's holding a woodpecker chick. And so she works for the US Forest Service, and she studies red-cockaded woodpeckers. So I hope you'll join me. I want to highlight some of the work that we do in the field on field trips.